Well, they're a lot better football team, than what happened to them. They gave up. They had some special teams issues that cost them 14 points, and and their quarterback got knocked out of the game in the second half. And Cal big played them a little bit, and so. They didn't come great, respond off of bye real well. But I'm assuming they're going to come back and respond. There's a lot of talent on that football team, particularly on defense. Well, we definitely looked at them, at Eastern Washington, and it got to the point where we weren't going to get him, as an athlete, so we really didn't pursue it. So.
Now that he's your boss's son, do you wish he'd really pursued it hard?
Well, I'd love to have him in our program. It would have been nice if he was a Cougar. There's no question about that, because he would clearly fit. Continued needs in our program. Number one, and he's a big, physical, tough guy in there at defensive tackle, and you just can't have enough of those kind of guys. Well, Marquise has definitely added to that. Jeff Toole has, just getting a little bit older and a little more experienced. Jared Carstetter has as well. So all those guys and the young receivers that we're grooming are going to do that. I want to get back to what I believe we need to do here at Washington State to be successful, and that is to be a very explosive offense. But it isn't only passing. We got to run the ball. We got to have great balance, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg with this thing. We're nowhere near where we know we can be or where we're going to be. We've got great young players coming along, and as we continue to groom them and they develop, I think we're going to be back at the top of the Pac-10 in total offense over the next few years without question. He's cleared to practice. He's got a sprained thumb or something in that regard, and they just got a splint and he's taped up. But he practiced last night, and he's full to go today. Well, considering all the factors, his age and and everything, he did a very, very solid job. Technically. And fundamentally, he's nowhere near where he needs to be. Knowing where to go, who to block, he did a fine job. There's times he got himself out of whack balance wise and out of position, but his athleticism overcame some of those issues to still win on his particular block. So that was. He did some good things. So you saw a lot of raw athletic ability that's just not refined yet. We're not really too caught up on who's going to be the quarterback. I think that our belief is that they're going to run their scheme and what they want to do, and so it shouldn't really impact how we approach the game and our philosophy. So. They're going to play who they need to play, and they're going to probably run what they are comfortable running X and O wise, and we got to be ready to go play the scheme and go play good football. I don't see it that way. I see the difference between Arizona State and the teams we've just faced are 3 or 4 plays difference. They played Oregon really tough, and that's the one common opponent. They hadn't played Arizona or Stanford. We're 3 or 4 plays away as well, and so, the difference with top to bottom in this league right now is not very much, and it's at a very high level in terms of the top end of this league, and Arizona State is capable of beating anybody in this conference, and we got to go play a really, really good football game on the road to have a chance to win this ball game, and. The difference between Arizona State and Stanford, for example, is really not a whole lot different. So we're going to go and we're going to continue to try to get better and play better football. And that's our focus is really on us. Well, you look at the statistics, and we've talked about that as well, are a little misleading for them on defense. If you watch their film, they're extremely physical in their defensive line, the most physical defensive line we have faced, period. if they haven't gotten sacks, they have gotten and hit to the quarterback a lot. And so they provide a tremendous amount of pressure, albeit not clean sacks all the time. And some of it has to do with their opponents. Oregon doesn't give up a lot of sacks. Wisconsin doesn't, throw the ball in the sense to give up a lot of sacks. So, they haven't had as many opportunities. But they're so physical, and they have great depth in their linebacking core and their defensive line. So they rotate a lot of guys. They play fresh. Their players are fresh, and they play hard. And I think, because of the turnovers they have had on their offense, it's put their defense in some very difficult situations at times. And so their defense, I clearly think is one of the best in the leagues. They just got excellent size, speed, depth. And so, I think the statistics are a little misleading on the quality of their defense right now. Well, turnovers, I mean, by golly, the last 2 weeks we've lost that battle by 2 or 3, and very few teams are good enough to overcome that and win games, and we clearly are not at that level to overcome that kind of deficit and win. So we got to win that battle. We're going on the road. We've got to win the battle. I mean, I don't know that even is good enough. We've got to be +2, I think, to have an opportunity to win the ball game. I think that's a key. I think we've got to be able to make some plays on offense. They're not the type of defense you're just going to be able to get 4 or 5 yards a crack, play after play. They're too good. They're not going to give that up. So we're going to have to make some plays, some big plays at times. I think that's very critical. And then our defense has got to tackle well. They've got tremendous speed at running back and at receiver. They're going to spread us out, and a little bit like Oregon. Conceptually, we're going to have to tackle well and on defense. I mean, it's just the bottom line. We're going to have to, and if we can do those things, then it gives us a legitimate chance to come away with a victory. Well, we got to be careful to go too much off. I don't think we're going to mirror it. I think today will be a mirror of last Tuesday, but I would envision that we're going to probably put on some pads tomorrow and get after it again a little bit. And, then we'll evaluate what we do on Thursday. So I know last Wednesday we didn't hit with pads, and right now my thought is that we will, because I think we need to have a level of some good contact here. Well, it goes back to recruiting and bringing in quality players and kids that can come in and help you. And, we are asking a lot of guys playing their first year of college football right now, and they're doing a darn good job for their level of experience. It is rewarding because it proves that your recruiting is right, and you continue to do the same thing. You build depth and you build quality in your program. And I think that's now showing up. People are saying, okay, there's some quality players. And, in the last year or two, when I've told people after signing date that I think it's as good or as best classes that have ever come here, I know people probably question that, and I understand that. But when Coach Lovey says it, I think that should have more validity because he's truly been here 20 years. And now that people are starting to see him actually on the field, people are saying, maybe that's true. And I know it is, and time will continue to prove that out. And we got to continue to recruit, though, and we got to get away from the ebb and flows of a program. And your recruiting has got to be positive. It's got to be 365 days a year, and you don't stop. If you want to be a quality program year in and year out, you have to recruit. You got to know what you're recruiting, and they got to fit your program. And I feel like we've got a very good understanding of what that's all about. I think it's starting to show up. He's got a quarterback that can get him the ball, and he's a special talent. I knew that when we signed him, and I didn't know that he would be mentally mature enough to perform at this level yet. I think that's been my surprise. But he's done some great things. He's a big play guy, and I hope he breaks the record. That means we're still having some good games in front of us coming. So, he's just starting his career. So, a lot of bright things ahead for him.